How to build a Blackgates Sweet Pea 5-inch gauge locomotive, part 74. After accurately milling the long slot in the steel bar, I cut two 1.5-inch blocks from it and machined them to the correct size. The section of this series about making the crossheads is more complicated than it looks. The original ones were horrible, and I need to make some that work perfectly and look a lot better. Piston rod crossheads are a very important part of a steam locomotive. As you can see, the crosshead guide is a good fit in the slot. I've left just enough room to take a couple of slippers above and below the crosshead. The one that's currently fitted is not the one I'm going to use. I'm just using it as a final size. I will eventually fit two slippers to this crosshead, which will be half the thickness of this one. This slipper is holding the steel plate away from the main body of the crosshead, so it looks like the slot is too big, but it isn't. This is one of the digital calipers that I have. It's slightly better quality than the height gauge because the main part of it is made from one piece of metal. I'm just showing that you can use a digital caliper for marking out, but it doesn't appear to be quite as accurate as using the marking out gauge. Even though the end of the bar is perfectly square, as can be demonstrated by holding a set square against it, the lines that are scribed on the piece of steel using the caliper were not very accurate. Using one of the original blocks and a standard scriber was more accurate, but in the end I thought it would be a better idea to use the height gauge because that's really what I bought it for. I've set the height gauge to 1.5 inches. All I need to do now is scribe a line on this very thick felt tip pen line. This line is the finished size and not when I'm going to cut the block using the bandsaw, because the bandsaw is inaccurate. This bandsaw, as I mentioned in a previous episode, has never really been accurate, and at the moment on this piece of steel it's worse than ever. I think it's a combination of the thickness of the steel plus the fact that the blade isn't very sharp anymore. And this, coupled with the fact that I'm applying more pressure to the blade than usual, just to speed up the process, makes it worse. Even before I finish the cut, I can see how much of a slope is on it. This is no good at all. I need to do something about it. But not for the moment. I'll work with what I've got. As you can see, this is not accurate in any way. It's worse than the previous attempt. It's easily rectified though. That's why I made a very thick felt tip pen mark to allow for the inaccuracy of the cut. The marks are on the other side, and here using an end mill I'm squaring off the end of the bar. Sometimes it's difficult to work within the tolerances of the quality of machinery that you use. This bandsaw's always been low quality, but it's always done its job. My other smaller bandsaw is much better really. Over the years I've modified this bandsaw, particularly the blade guides, very different to the original. This one contains a ball race at the centre. I'm pushing this small bandsaw quite hard to cut this 1/2-inch piece of steel, but it does it, and it's a lot better than the other bandsaw. As you can see, this blade's well on its way out. And it also doesn't cut very accurately. I had to rotate the part to prevent the blade from wandering off the line. Now I'm going to machine the two parts in my milling machine. The bottom edges are perfectly square, so these go to the bottom, and the uneven cuts, particularly the sloping one from the first bandsaw, are at the top. Most of the machining sequences these days I do run at a higher speed. This is at 400%, and it very quickly removes the steel. I'm not using any lubricant because it's very messy and it makes it less clear for the video. This end mill is part of a set and it wasn't expensive, and I'm really amazed at it. It's done a lot of work and it's still very sharp. I must mention that normally when I use it, I do use a lubricant, which does prolong the life of the cutting surfaces, but in this case it's totally dry. If you look carefully at the front piece, you will see the scribed line on the black felt tip pen. That's where I need to end up, but of course both pieces need to be the same size. Here I'm pushing my luck a little bit and going too fast. The chippings are coming off blue. If I continue doing this, it's very likely to blunt the milling cutter, and I don't want to do that. I've become quite attached to it. Slowly but surely, even at 400%, I'm removing metal at a good rate, and very shortly I will be taking 2 more cuts, and the final one is the final cut, which coincidentally is the name of the video editor that I use, Final Cut Pro on an Apple iMac. I can still see the line, and this is a good thing because don't forget I do need to clean up these parts. The end sizing will be done at the end of the job, when all of the parts are fitted together. In this clip I'm using a needle file to deburr the edges of the slots. You always have to be very aware of burrs because they give a false impression for the next operation. If I don't deburr the parts at this stage, when I fit the crosshead guides to check the fit, I will get a false reading. So it's a really good idea to clean up the parts before you fit them together. As you can see, most of the tool marks have been removed on the edge surfaces, but there's still a bit more to go yet. Here I'm double checking the sizes using the height gauge, which tells me that everything is just as it should be. I checked the blanks for the metal cover plates, and I wasn't happy with these two. They'd been slightly damaged on the edges by the guillotining process. These plates are taller than they need to be. I'll show why in a future episode, but I'll leave them alone for the time being. Here's the job so far. There's still some more milling to do on the main body of the crossheads, and it's very important to make sure I have them the correct way around. The slots go to the outside. I'll leave you with this shot of the kit of parts and the templates that I'm going to use to mark out certain aspects of the covers. That's it for now though. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.